My family helped my ex take my son away from me. Now they want him back. Hey, before we move on to the video, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Thanks. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to go no contact with my own family. I grew up thinking family meant unconditional support, that no matter how bad things got, the people who raised you would always have your back. I held on to that belief, even when all the signs pointed otherwise. It took losing my son, being painted as a lunatic, and rebuilding my entire life alone for me to finally understand that some people, even family, will side with whoever makes them feel comfortable, not necessarily with the one who needs them most. I'm not writing this for pity. I don't want sympathy. I just need to get this story out of my system because for a long time, it felt like no one believed me. Now that I've come out the other side, I think I finally have the strength to talk about it. So here it goes. I'm 36 now. My ex-wife and I finalized our divorce about 4 years ago. We have one child, a son, who just turned 10. At the time everything happened, he was only 6. He was the sweetest kid, curious, bright, affectionate. He used to follow me around the house with his little notebook, pretending he was taking notes like I did for work. His name is Liam. He's my entire world. My ex-wife, Anna, and I were together for almost 7 years. From the outside, we looked like a solid, functional couple. I worked in IT from home. Anna was in marketing, always traveling for work, always talking about new projects and promotions. She was magnetic. People loved her instantly. Charismatic, stylish, a great storyteller. The kind of person who walks into a room and knows exactly what to say to make everyone like her. But when it was just us, just me and her, there were cracks. She could be cold, controlling. I was the one managing the day-to-day stuff. Laundry, dinner, school emails, playdates. She'd come home from a trip and act like she was the one holding the family together. I didn't complain. I figured that was just how partnerships worked. You pick up slack when the other person is busy. But she didn't see it that way. Over time, she started making little comments. You're always so tense. You take everything too personally. Are you okay? You seem kind of off lately. They weren't accusations, not exactly. Just seeds, subtle, well-timed digs that made me start to doubt myself. Still, I stayed. For Liam, when things got really bad, fights turning into long silences, cold shoulders, and then sudden affection when she wanted something, I told myself every relationship had rough patches. I even suggested therapy once. She laughed and said I should go alone if I needed it so badly. So I dropped it. What finally broke us was a trip she took to Chicago. I found out later she wasn't there for work. She was with someone else. I never got all the details, and at this point, I don't care to. What matters is, I confronted her when I found texts on our shared iPad. She didn't even try to deny it. Just told me we'd grown apart, and that maybe separating would be best for all of us, including Liam. At first, I agreed. We weren't happy. Maybe a clean break would be healthier for our son. We talked about 50-50 custody, about doing this the mature way. I actually believed her when she said we'd figure things out amicably. That's when everything changed. We started the custody conversation with emails and a mediator. At first, things felt civil. I was trying to be calm and level-headed. I wanted to believe Anna wasn't the type to use our son as a pawn. But behind the scenes, she was preparing a completely different narrative. Well, I didn't even see coming until it was too late. A week after we'd agreed on splitting time evenly, I got a letter from her attorney. Not a mediator, an attorney. It said Anna would be seeking primary custody, citing concerns about my emotional stability and my ability to provide a safe, structured environment. I thought it was a mistake, a misunderstanding. I called her immediately, confused and furious. She didn't answer. She texted back, "You're not well, and this is exactly why I'm doing this." That's when the ground under me cracked. She had told everyone I was unstable. She claimed I was showing paranoid tendencies, inappropriate emotional reactions, and had unresolved anger issues. She brought up a single panic attack I had during a stressful week months before and blew it up like I was dangerous. She had receipts too, doctored, taken out of context, but enough to look convincing. She screenshotted texts where I vented late at night about feeling alone exhausted, like I couldn't do it anymore. I thought I was talking to my wife. She saved it as evidence. What broke me more than anything wasn't what she did. It was what my family did. I went to my parents looking for support. I laid it all out, told them about the affair, the manipulation, the lawyer. I expected anger, confusion, something. What I got was a hesitant silence. And then, she always did seem more stable than you. My mom said that, like she was trying to soften the blow. My dad added, maybe this is a good time to get yourself some help. You know? Work on things. As if I had done something wrong. I begged them to listen. To remember all the times I called them when I was taking care of Liam while Anna was gone for days. The nights I didn't sleep because Liam had a fever and Anna was in another city. The time they came over and saw me folding laundry while rocking him to sleep in a carrier. They nodded, smiled in that quiet, uncomfortable way people do when they've already made up their minds. I felt like I was going insane. Like I had stepped into a parallel universe where everything I had done for my family was invisible, overwritten by Anna's performance. Because she was charming. She brought wine when she visited. She laughed at their jokes. She looked like the sane one. My sister was even worse. She and Anna had always been friendly, but I didn't know how deep it went. Turns out Anna had called her, told her I was showing signs of breakdown, and my sister believed her. She told me, point blank, you can be a lot sometimes. It's not crazy to think Liam might be better off with someone more emotionally balanced. She even gave Anna a character reference letter for the custody case. Let that sink in. My own sister testified in court that I was too unstable to care for my son, based on nothing but hearsay and bias. By the time the court date arrived, I had a lawyer, but it was too late. Anna's legal team was polished and aggressive. They brought up cherry-picked texts, exaggerated stories, and statements from concerned family members. They made me out to be an emotionally erratic man on the verge of collapse. I wasn't granted joint custody. I got supervised visitation every other weekend and one phone call per week. When I left the courthouse that day, I sat in my car for over an hour. I couldn't drive. I couldn't even cry. I just stared through the windshield, completely hollow. I had lost my son, and my family helped it happen. And they weren't even ashamed. A week later, I saw a Facebook post from my mom. So proud of Anna for being such a strong mother through all this. Liam is lucky to have you. There was a photo of Liam smiling in a backyard, my backyard, where I used to play with him every Saturday. And standing beside him was my mother, my sister, and Anna. Like I never existed. Like I was a problem they'd already solved. For the first time in my life, I understood what it meant to feel invisible. Not metaphorically, actually invisible. Like I'd been quietly erased from my own life. Everyone moved on like I was never there. I didn't get updates about Liam. No one called to check in. My family acted like I had become a footnote. The worst part? I didn't have the energy to fight it. Not then. After the court ruling, I spiraled. I barely left my apartment. I started missing work. I couldn't focus. My apartment got disgusting. Dishes stacked up, mail piled unopened. I lived off cereal and boxed pasta. On the nights I didn't cry myself to sleep, I sat in bed staring at the wall for hours. I didn't tell anyone how bad it got. What was the point? The people I should have called had already shown me whose side they were on. They had helped take my son from me, and they thought they were being reasonable. That fall I got laid off. I missed a big deadline and showed up late to too many Zoom meetings. My boss gave me a generous severance considering the circumstances, but I didn't care. I didn't even feel ashamed. I felt numb. Visitation weekends with Liam were the only thing keeping me afloat. And even those were brutal. He was cold with me at first. Quiet. Withdrawn. He didn't want to talk. He called Anna's new boyfriend Dad by accident once and then clammed up, clearly afraid he'd done something wrong. That nearly broke me. I never yelled. I never guilt-tripped him. I just told him I loved him and that I was happy to see him. But he looked at me like I was some weird, distant uncle, someone he used to know, someone his mom didn't like, so he wasn't sure he was allowed to like either. Every Sunday evening, I'd drop him off and go home to silence. The next day, my mom might post another picture with Anna and Liam, hashtagging it #FamilyFirst. My sister commented things like, "So proud of you, Anna." I unfollowed them all. I didn't block them, though. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to keep punishing myself. Thanksgiving came. No invite. Christmas came. No invite. They had a full tree, gifts, matching sweaters, and Liam standing between my mom and Anna like he'd been adopted by a new version of my family. I spent Christmas Eve alone, eating takeout in front of a muted TV, wondering if my son had asked about me, wondering if he'd been told I didn't want to be there. There was one moment that winter that scared me, really scared me. I was driving home after a visitation and saw Liam wave at me from Anna's porch. He looked happy, genuinely happy. And for a second, I had this awful split-second thought. Maybe he really is better off without me. I pulled over and just sobbed into the steering wheel. That night, I made myself a promise. If I couldn't have Liam back right away, I would at least get me back. Because if I didn't, I was going to disappear completely. I didn't have some dramatic turning point. There was no life-changing epiphany, no rousing speech in a mirror. Just a quiet morning in February when I realized I couldn't live like a ghost anymore. I was either going to keep slowly disappearing or I was going to fight my way back. I chose to fight. The first step was small. I showered. I did my laundry. I cleared off the dishes that had been molding in the sink for longer than I cared to admit. The second step was harder. I applied for jobs. My resume was a mess, but I updated it. I was honest about the employment gap. Said I'd taken time off for personal and family issues. I got a few interviews, and after a month, I landed a remote IT support job with decent pay and full benefits. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. I started therapy next. Not because I thought I was broken, but because I wanted tools. Tools to survive, to process, to stay sane while everyone else had labeled me otherwise. My therapist, James, didn't treat me like a project. He listened. He helped me sort through the chaos. He helped me see that grieving someone who's still alive, someone who's been taken from you, is a kind of mourning no one prepares you for. I started journaling. Not for anyone else, just for me. I wrote everything down. The lies Anna told, the way my family ignored me, the tiny things Liam said during our visits. I started building a timeline. A record. I didn't know it then, but I was laying the groundwork for my comeback. Over the next 2 years, I rebuilt my life. Not dramatically, not with Instagram milestones or flashy announcements. Just quiet progress. I moved to a better apartment in a quieter part of town, closer to Liam's school. I took extra shifts when I could, built savings, paid off old debts. Liam was still distant at first. He didn't open up easily, but he was starting to look at me again, really look. And sometimes he'd smile. I never pushed him. I never said a single bad thing about Anna in front of him. Even though it burned me alive every time he told me about her new boyfriend, the cool one who takes him to soccer practice. But I listened. I showed up. I kept track of everything. He once mentioned he didn't like when mom's boyfriend yells, then clammed up quickly like he wasn't supposed to say it. Another time, he said Anna was usually tired and on her phone all night. The kind of comments that sound harmless to outsiders, but they stuck with me. They meant something, so I started documenting. Dates. Times. Quotes. I kept a folder. Voice recordings of our conversations when legal. Screenshots of missed visitations. Ignored emails. Rescheduled weekends. Everything. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't make threats. I just kept working and building and waiting. Anna had full custody, but she was careless. She missed drop-offs. She moved apartments twice without notifying the court. She brought Liam late to school more than 20 times in one semester. And then, last spring, I got the call that cracked the door wide open. It was Liam's school counselor. She said Liam had mentioned feeling stressed at home, and that he'd asked if he could stay with Dad more, because it's quieter there. I kept it together on the phone, but after I hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. I felt hope. When the school counselor called me, I didn't jump into action right away. I'd learned my lesson about being too reactive. That's how they painted me the first time. Unstable, emotional, too intense. So I waited. I'd gather more. Over the next few months, I became meticulous. Every missed drop-off went in the log. Every time Liam mentioned being left alone with Anna's boyfriend while she ran errands got written down. Every late-night call that Liam didn't answer. Every vague excuse from Anna about why our weekends had to be rescheduled last minute. I kept a record of it all, not just to win a case, but because I was finally starting to feel sane again. I had the truth, And this time, I wasn't letting anyone twist it. My therapist helped me write a statement. Clear, calm, factual. Not angry. Not bitter. Just honest. Then I found a new lawyer. Not the budget guy I hired last time. This one was sharp, precise, and had handled multiple high-conflict custody reversals. I handed him everything. The timeline, the logs, the school concerns, even the Facebook posts from my mother and sister, still posing with my son like I didn't exist. He looked at it all and said, "We have a real case here." That was the first night I slept through till morning in over 3 years. We filed a motion for modification of custody, citing new evidence of neglect and emotional instability in the current custodial household. The school's report helped. My consistent visitation record helped. So did my improved mental health status and full-time employment. Anna didn't see it coming. She showed up in court like it was still 2019, calm, confident, with that same smug smile she used to have during our mediation. But this time, I was the one prepared. My lawyer laid it all out. We weren't asking for revenge, just for a fair reevaluation. We showed her pattern of negligence, her interference with visitations, and the documented concerns from Liam's school. I didn't even look at her while we spoke. I looked at the judge. When it was Anna's turn, she stumbled. She hadn't brought anything new. She tried to recycle old claims, that I was too intense, that I made things up, that Liam was just being a kid when he said he was stressed. The judge wasn't buying it. The hearing lasted 2 days. When it was over, the judge granted us a temporary adjustment to 50-50 custody, pending a follow-up review in 6 months. I didn't cry in the courtroom. I waited until I got to my car. Then I sat in the driver's seat and shook, not from sadness, but from relief. I had fought through 3 years of isolation, grief, humiliation, and betrayal. And finally, someone had listened. Liam was quiet the first week we split time evenly. I didn't push. I just made his favorite dinners, left board games out, gave him space. One night, I found a little drawing on my desk, a stick figure of him and me holding hands with the words "Dad time," smiley face written in crayon. That paper is still on my fridge. It didn't take long. The moment my custody agreement shifted, it was like someone flipped a switch in my family's memory. Suddenly, I wasn't unstable anymore. I wasn't too intense or not the best fit to be a father. Now I was resilient, brave, such a good dad, always putting Liam first. The hypocrisy would have been funny if it wasn't so insulting. The first one to reach out was my sister. She texted me the day after the new custody agreement went into effect. Not a call, just a short, chirpy message. "Hey, just heard the news, congrats. Would love to come by and see Liam sometime." Like she hadn't written a court statement calling me emotionally unstable. Like she hadn't stood by Anna's side while my life fell apart. I didn't answer. A few days later, my mom called. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message saying she wanted to talk and was proud of how I turned things around. Turned things around? She was there when it all unraveled, and she didn't lift a finger. I listened to that message 3 times. Not once did she say she was sorry. Not once did she acknowledge what she did or what she didn't do. And then came the kicker, a Facebook post. My mother shared an old picture of me holding Liam when he was a toddler, captioned, "So glad to have our boy back in our lives. Family is everything." Our boy. She hadn't spoken to me in 2 years. She'd spent every holiday with Anna and Liam, treating my son like he was part of a new, improved family, one that didn't include me. Now that the courts were finally seeing me again, suddenly they all wanted a seat at my table. Even Anna's little fan club of friends started pulling back. People who had unfriended me online or left snide comments were now liking my posts again. One of them even messaged me to say, "Hey, sorry about everything. Glad you and Liam are doing better." Like they hadn't piled on when I was already buried. The part that hurt the most wasn't their betrayal. I grieved that already. What hurt was how convenient their love became the second I wasn't losing anymore. I didn't scream at them. I didn't send angry texts. I didn't go on Facebook rants. I just stayed quiet. I kept spending time with Liam. I took him to the park, helped him with homework, introduced him to my favorite childhood movies. He laughed more now. He asked me real questions again. He let himself fall asleep on the couch during movie night without feeling like he had to stay awake until drop-off. He was relaxing around me. That's all I needed. My mother tried again in person about a month later. She showed up at my door with banana bread and a smile like nothing had happened. I opened the door, looked at her, and didn't say a word. She tried to hug me. I stepped back. "You're not welcome here," I said calmly. She blinked like I just slapped her. "I'm your mother," she said, like it was a magic word that undid the last 3 years. "And when I needed you most," I said, "you chose the woman who cheated on me and lied to the courts over your own son." She said she was sorry, that she didn't know what to believe, that she just wanted peace in the family. I told her, peace is not the same thing as pretending nothing happened. Then I closed the door. I didn't slam it. I just closed it, slowly, quietly, like ending a chapter. People love a comeback story. They love redemption. They love it when things get tied up in a neat little bow. Hugs, apologies, lessons learned. But real life isn't like that. Not every story ends with forgiveness. Some just end with peace. It's been almost a year since the custody change, and in that time, my life has gotten quiet again, but in a good way this time. No chaos, no drama, no backroom betrayals. Just early mornings, quiet dinners, and Liam falling asleep during books we read together. We settled into a rhythm. Liam started talking more. Not just surface stuff, but real feelings. He told me he used to think the separation was his fault, that he thought I left because I didn't want to fight anymore. That's what Anna told him. She said I was tired of parenting. I didn't badmouth her even then. I just told him the truth. I never stopped wanting to be your dad. I just had to fight really hard to prove it. He cried in my arms that night. So did I. We talk about everything now: school, girls, video games, the weird questions that come into an 11-year-old's head. He doesn't flinch anymore when I pick him up. He runs to the car. He brags about me to his friends. He tells his teachers that I helped him become really good at math. That's what I fought for. Not revenge, not control, just that, to be his dad again. Fully, unapologetically. As for Anna, she didn't fight the 50-50 arrangement once it was in place. I think she saw the writing on the wall, the evidence, the school reports, the slow erosion of the narrative she'd built. She's civil now. Cold, but civil. She lost her little echo chamber. My family doesn't post about her anymore. She's just Liam's mom again, not the heroine of some false martyr story. My mother still sends cards. Birthday once. Thinking of you once. She's careful not to push too hard. She's waiting for me to break the silence, to finally forgive her. But I don't need to. Forgiveness isn't owed just because someone regrets what they did. Especially not when they only regret it because it didn't work out the way they planned. Do I hate her? No, I just don't trust her. And I don't have room in my life anymore for people who only show up when I'm winning. I've rebuilt everything from ashes. I have gotten stronger, quieter, calmer. I'm not angry like I was. I'm not broken anymore. But I remember. I remember who let me drown. I remember who handed me the bricks when I was sinking. I remember who watched it happen and called it keeping the peace. And that peace they cared so much about, I finally have it now. But I had to cut them out to get it. And that's okay. Because sometimes healing isn't about fixing what was broken between you and someone else. Sometimes it's about building something new just for you and the ones who actually stayed. For me, that person is Liam. And I'll never let anyone take him from me again. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button.